and it is going to be the final one, so that our athletes also can have prize. Despite the fact that we have also prize money from World Athletics, at least Kenya will also offer some additional prizes for the winners. We are going to have different categories: the 10 kilometers men and women, and then we have the under 20, 8 kilometers, 6 kilometers. We have also under 18, 6 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and also kids athletics. Kids athletics also is the department that is coming up now, with partnership with World Athletics and also the Ministry of Sports, and also and at least Kenya, to develop an interest when the athletes are young. So those are the areas that we are looking into. And finally, on Saturday, we are going to have also veterans. And the veterans that were selected are those who have done very well during the cross-country series during those days, so that they can parade and we show the world that our athletes, retired athletes, are also there, and we recognize the contribution they have given to this country.
Now, at the end of the day, I've been looking at the World Athletics regulations, and one of the things that I saw at the National Cross-Country Championships 2 weeks ago was the course at Lobo Village. First of all, how was it designed and measured by Ibrahim Hussein Kipkemboi?
Ibrahim is the director of ADC in Africa, which is a wing of World Athletics, and he's also certified to make sure that the courses that we use are ratified by World Athletics. The course is not designed only by our officials in Kenya. There is a program, or the way a course is designed, and it defines differently how that course should be done. And normally what the World Athletics wants is a different way of doing things. You have to have a course that is challenging and different, and it also encourages spectators. It's entertaining. It's sometimes some areas are easy, some areas are difficult. So it is a unique way of making the course very interesting. There are some areas that we looked at it could be dangerous for the athletes. We remove that, but it has to be challenging as required by World Athletics. So it's not Athletics Kenya that actually decide. We use the formula given by the World Athletics, and of course the person who is doing that is Ibrahim Hussein, to certify that course that it is safe and secure for our athletes to run on.
Let me start with because having seen that course at the Nationals, let me talk about the first part. After you do the start, it tends to be a downhill, and you've got, there is a hill that was created and compacted. Then the athletes go around the bends, and there's supposed to be a water spray in the original plan. Just talk about that first half of the course.
I came back this morning from Eldoret. I was there yesterday looking at the course. We have also people from World Athletics and also from Europe who are helping us also to design, working with Ibrahim and this technical team. The first, as per the regulations from World Athletics, is that we have to have at least a minimum of 100 meters as a start. So we are changing a little bit, so that there's no commotion with the athletes when they are starting, because they have to run very fast so that they can get the line. Immediately after the 100 meters now, you run a few meters and then you have to go through a small hill, which is a bit difficult. But when you start, it's easier. As you progress and the mileage increases also, it becomes also difficult. So that is another challenge. And then immediately after that also is some curves and then corners. And then there is, before I think 2 kilometers, there is also hay where they have to jump. Because last time they didn't have it. Instead of putting the logs, we are going to put hay on top of that so that they can jump. But the most interesting area, which it was not there last time, is that if you watched Cinque Mulini in Italy last weekend, athletes ran through the mill. So they have to run upstairs through the stairs, and then they come down also, even though they're using the spikes. But this one now, the design is that we are going to have a very big tent where the athletes will run through. We'll have people also sitting there and taking tea, drinking, and then the music is also inside there. And after that also, we were also thinking of putting a spray, but we are still thinking about that, depending on whether the weather is good. If it is hot, then we put a spray. But the most interesting one is they are going to run through the tent, a big tent, where people will be singing, and then the musician is there. And then you progress all the way. Before you reach the starting point again, there is now where the more treacherous part is, where you have water and mud. That is where now the art is more interesting. You find most of these reporters sitting there and watching the way they run. So that's where we are going to have the most difficult point.
What was the reaction? Because I saw some under 18 athletes. The girls were doing the 5 kilometers and the boys were doing the 6 km. Some of them lost their shoes in the mud pit. What has been done, to change it such that, like you mentioned, there is safety?
As long as there are nothing that can affect or injure the athlete under the mud, there's no problem. That is why it is called cross country. It involves so many things. I used to run also cross country, and one time also I ran in Kambacho cross country, where they had mud and everything, and we lost the shoes everywhere, and we were not even able to remove our clothes because it was cold, and it was the most difficult course we have ever had. So this is not a problem. The cross country is supposed to be that way. As long as it is not injuring the athlete, it has to be like that. But when it comes now, the kids athletics, which we are going to have, and under 18, we will have them not to run through that course because they are young. We have already designed in a way that they are going to run 2 kilometers, but they are not going to go through that mud. But anybody under 20 and seniors, they must go through that.
Wow, that's interesting. I think that's a lesson learned from the National Cross Country Championships. The other thing that World Athletics says is that you may have these discretionary events. That's the under 20, the under 18s, the veterans, and the kids. But the entries must be limited to 1,000 for all of them. How are you working around this?
Our additional numbers will not exceed 1,000. So we want to make sure that in any event it is average of 90. By event category, let us say the 10,000 meters men, because it involves international athletes, we have at least an average of 90 for both men and women. And then the under 20, under 18, then we have about 60 to 70. So it will not cause any commotion. The total number of athletes that we might have is going to be 500. So it's not going to be more than 1,000. But then we have different ideas also as proposed by World Athletics. The discretionary that we are asking is for us now even to have the veterans. If we have the veterans, we prefer this time to match. We have 18 chosen athletes, retired athletes that will be matching just to show. And then maybe in the future now we'll have competition for the veterans that will also spice up the event.
Who are some of these athletics masters that you've invited? You can let the cat out of the bag.
We have people like we have John Gubi, we have Edith Masai. Those we have already invited. We have Kipawen, we have Benjamin Limo, and many others who will be attending that. So we have about 18 of them that have already been selected, and they'll be there.
The other thing is now when it comes to the financial requirements, number one, first of all, the accommodation of the elite athletes. It has been set out in the tour regulations by World Athletics. How especially for the elite athletes?
That one has already been done. That's why I'm telling you that I was there in Eldoret yesterday. We have a team that are working on that. The hotel that will be staying in Eka Hotel, which is a 4-star hotel, and then we have Boma also. The elite athletes will be staying in Boma, and then the invited officials or the dignitaries that will be there will be staying in one of those top places. So I think when it comes to accommodation, that is done deal. Everything is okay. We want to make sure that whatever we do is done in advance so that we don't have any issues. Travel and accommodation, transportation, we have already set up everything in place so that when our athletes arrive in Nairobi, the invited athletes, they just be they connect the flight from Nairobi to Eldoret. Those who might come when there are no flights, and then we have an accommodation, a layover at the airport so that they can wait for the next flight normally in the evening. So everything has been set for their stay, and also for our local athletes also. We have booked hotels for them in Eldoret so they don't have issues. We have their transportation, and of course even the media is also invited to go there.
Oh. Now, the other thing that we've got to talk about is there is a standard that has been set, athletes budget at the World Athletics Cross Country Tour Gold Meeting. And let me just read this directly from the regulations. A minimum total athlete budget for travel, accommodation and prize money should be 15,000. The prize money shall be paid within 60 days of receipt of the doping control clearance from the Athletics Integrity Unit. And also the Athletics Integrity Unit, I know, will also be here to check the course integrity, isn't it? Because you've expanded that.
AIU is always here. They are here, they are with us. So that's not an issue even because they are already here. When it comes now to the payment of the prices, we stick to the rules and regulations governing that. We will wait until, because the athletes will be tested, so we wait until the results come out from AIU, and they should give us the green light to pay. Because the government has already given us the money, we don't have a problem. Like Continental Tour, immediately the AIU gives us the green light, the athletes are paid automatically because everything has already been said. So we don't have an issue with that. The problem sometimes is when the money is not there, but the government has already given us the money for the prize money for the athletes, so that one is not an issue. We are going to do that, and we are really grateful to the government for the support they have given us because the money is there, and we are just going to pay the athletes immediately. The green light is given to AK to pay the athletes.
Then there is something else that I would like to mention that the Athletics Integrity Unit has been doing, and many people at times have forgotten, is that outside of doping, which is what they are known for, is now when it comes to looking at simple technical regulations, how are you adapting to this? Because we saw them, raise that issue when it came to entries for the Olympics.
We have what we call Rule 15, and that Rule 15 governs countries that are still on the watch list. Kenya is among the 5 countries that are on watch list, and the rules and regulations governing that, we have to stick to that.
Actually, let me just interrupt you. If you're taking a look at the videos now, that is the mud pit. It's 5 meters long, and athletes will have to navigate that at the cross country. So if you just take a look at it, that's a mud pit that only the under 18s will not run through.
Yes, absolutely. That's going to run through that. But the mud bit will be there, but then, of course, the water will not be there.
Aha, good. So back to AIU, and I'm not talking about just the doping part. That is well understood. It's about the integrity of course length, equipment, and technical operations.
We operate under the guidelines for World Athletics. So it's a rule book that we have to use. Wherever we are there, we read the book and we follow those rules and regulations governing that. Anything that is international, an event that is organized by World Athletics, like the cross country, we stick to the rules. We cannot deviate, because when you break the rules, then it also affects the federation. So we have no problem, because even the course you are talking about has already been certified and is acceptable. The distance when you are starting the event is measured according to the rule book that is given. The distance that the athletes have to run before now joining the main event is the minimum is 100 meters, so we stick to that. So we are going to stick to every rule that is given and protect also the integrity of the event as per the regulations from World Athletics.
Tell us now about the prize money structure of this.
The prize money structure has already been posted to the website so that the athletes can see what they are going to earn. I cannot tell you exactly what it is, but the money is substantial. Of course, that is now the prize money from Athletics Kenya. But we have now the prize money from World Athletics that will pay for those who have won the series. So that one now will also depend on the World Athletics, how much they are going to, when they are going to pay them. But they are the ones now to tabulate the persons who have won, and then they can send the money directly to them or to the managers.
Next, now, let us talk about the entries and the criteria used to select as required by World Athletics for the senior men and the senior women. That's the first.
Those ones, we use the rankings. And also we have to negotiate with the athletes. Some of them, they don't want to run because they have prior engagements, like they have to go to run indoor or any other event. So we engage with them. And those top athletes now, the foreign athletes, we have to provide the transportation, and depends on the performance of an athlete. So we also see what they are asking, because sometimes they ask for appearance fee. We call the appearance fee. Those who will come and run for the prize money are different. Those we engage from outside the country is through appearance and also accommodation. So it depends. It's not the same. It's different from one athlete to the other according to their performance. We have a structure for those athletes who won medals during the Olympics. We also see them differently. They are given different payment according to their performance during the Olympics, and the structures called silver and bronze. their earnings is different. And then we come now to the athletes also that have done well before. As per the rankings, we take about top 20 in the world rankings, and we see how we are going to pay them. So it is different, but according to the rules and regulations given by World Athletics, we stick to that. But of course, it depends on the performance and the rankings of an athlete, how much they earn.
Well, talking about the prize money, let me just read out what the World Cross Country Tour overall prize money is. World Athletics is offering $37,500 for the men and the women. The overall winner gets $10,000. That's about 1.13 million shillings. That's overall for the men and also for the women. And it goes down 8,000 for second, 6,000 for third, 5,000 and 4,500 and 4,000 up to those who are ranked sixth. So overall, this is the 14. That's where we're going to get the ranking point for that. Now, let's now take a look at some of the athletes invited. First of all, the women's field. Margaret Chelimo of Kenya. Letus in Bedgide, Winfred Yavi, Kenyan-born Bahraini. You've got Yulia Shmatenko of the Ukraine and Senbere Teferi of Ethiopia. Looking at just some of those names from the elite 8 or 9 that have been invited, what kind of competition do you expect?
When we have Kidei and Margaret Chelimo and Chiruto and Yavi, that's a tough competition. Most of those took part during the Olympic Games. So Kidei is a world record holder in 5,000, marathon and the 10K. So you can see now the kind of athletes that we have. We are going to have very strong athletes. And of course, we cannot also forget the athletes that have not been listed there, and they are from Kenya, and they are very, very, very good. So we are going to have a very strong competition. And remember also, we picked athletes that did very well during the National Cross Country Championship. And also we considered athletes that might not have competed during the National Cross Country Championship, and we included them also. So it is going to be a National Cross Country Championship plus those elite athletes that have been invited.
Baobab Course, he is an executive committee member of the Athletics Kenya, and on Saturday hosting the Agnes Tirop Classic. It's a World Cross Country Tour Gold event. We'll be coming to the men's field and what it's like to have Jeffrey Kamworor back after we saw him running in Valencia. That was late in December, where he finished fourth. But right now, let's move over to an event that's taking place, and it is about the strategy launch for the management of migratory and invasive pests in Kenya. And speaking right now is Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, the Honorable Peter Munya.
Safe, and that the suffering of our farmers from adverse effects of pest invasion are minimized. We welcome you to support us to actualize the proposals contained in this document and to build strong systems for successful implementation of this strategy. Finally, I appreciate FAO who are providing technical support in the development of this strategy, and all stakeholders and members of the public who provided their views towards enriching this document. I appreciate the commitment and sacrifice of the Strategy Secretariat that steered this process and ensured all the constitutional requirements were met. We appreciate the World Bank through the Emergency Locust Response Project for providing funds for developing the strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, please now join me in celebrating the successful launch of the Migratory and Invasive Pests Management Strategy, and wish you God's blessings as we work together to implement the strategy. Nafikiri nimemalizia hapo. I want to join my friend there in speaking a bit of Kiswahili. I want to really appreciate the effort all the stakeholders have put in the success of this, the launch of this strategy that you have been working in for quite a while. I know the idea came out of the challenges we faced when we were dealing with the locust, desert locust invasion. We were found unprepared. We were found inexperienced because we've not gone through a similar experience in the past, other than reading the Bible and hearing what used to happen those days. And out of our the experience we learned when we were working on what to do to deal with the problem, we realized we needed a long-term plan for any other future invasion or any other future emergency resulting from migratory pests and the invasive pests. So we said, why don't we have a plan? Why don't you develop a plan that helps us not find ourselves in a similar situation? This is how this strategy was developed. I'm happy that we've now reached a stage where we want to roll it out to start the implementation. So mine really is just to thank you all for supporting my ministry in this work, supporting the government in this work, and looking forward to collaborating with all of you in the implementation of the strategy. I want to especially recognize the role played by the counties in the implementation. As we have always said, agriculture is devolved, and we can never be successful if we don't collaborate, work together, interface when we are dealing with issues with the counties. And this intervention with dealing with the locust problem was the best indicator of a well-coordinated, collaborative effort, what it can do to change a situation that is threatening food security and agriculture. It was the best example of the fruits of collaboration and working together. And we were able, last week, I don't know whether it's last week, to eventually have the Intergovernmental Forum on agriculture, where again we dedicated our efforts and our commitment to continuing to work together at the national level, with the counties, and also with our development partners who have always been working closely, very, very closely with us. We were able, of course, to make it clear. Sometimes we have a lot of disagreements coming out of the fact that sometimes people have a tendency of wanting to work. People wanting to protect their turfs. Each one of us saying, this is my work, why are you interfering? Is that tendency? But we forget that your work will be successful if mine is successful and if we link them together. And that is where the challenge has always been since devolution. That is where we've always had a challenge, not realizing that we are part of a bigger whole that we need to work together for us to all succeed at the county level, national level, and even at the national level between ministries and departments and agencies. And I want to appreciate the conference, the outcome of the conference, where we really looked at the bigger picture and said this is the areas of priority we want to work on. And again, thank our development partners for being part of that journey. So I'm looking forward to continuing with that effort of collaborating, working together. National government will continue to provide the coordinating role that is required, and also raising the resources that are required for us to be able to move the agenda forward. Sitasema mengi zaidi ya hayo, nataka kusema asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki. Tuendelee kufanya hii kazi pamoja. Kilimo bado inaendelea kuwa uti wa mgongo kwa uchumi wa Kenya, na tukiweza kubadilisha kilimo, tutaweza kubadilisha nchi ya Kenya. Hiyo ndio president mwenyewe amekuwa akisema kila wakati. Kwa hivyo tuna mengine zaidi, naongezea rafiki yangu Kiswahili kidogo. Just handing him a few more words for him to keep learning as we move forward. So thank you very much. Thank you for visiting us. Have a very, very, very enjoyable trip up country. I'm told you'll be also in Lewa, one of the beautiful places in the country.
That is the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, the Honorable Peter Munya, speaking at the Kempinski Hotel, where there is the strategy launch on the management of migratory and invasive pests in Kenya. The well-known one is the desert locust. We know that there was, a lot of hue and cry, and like the Cabinet Secretary has admitted, Kenya looked like they were not ready, and so they had to find ways of managing that, and he says it's a continuing process. Our reporter at that event is Regina Manyara, and she's going to be giving us the full brief from the conference that's taking place there, a collaboration between the State Department for Agriculture and also the Food and Agricultural Organization. We continue with our conversation on Sports Check, and it is about the Agnes Tirop Cross-Country Classic, a World Athletics Tour Gold event that's going to be taking place at the Lobo Village in Kapseret, Uasin Gishu County. That is just outside of Eldoret as you move towards the Eldoret airport. We've heard about the elite women. Let's talk about the elite men. And this is the marquee event, the closing event. Jeffrey Kamworor of Kenya, Joel Ayeko, we've got Albert Trop, runs for Bahrain, Samuel Fitui of Germany. Plus, we saw at the National Cross Country Championships that the names can be forgotten. Nicholas Kimeli has been out there at the tour, and when he came in, he said, actually, things are a little bit different here. There is no respect for names. What kind of competition would you expect from the men's field?
Yes, of course, every national competition where it involves the veterans, the elite, and the newcomers, they always give a run for the money for those top athletes. Kamworor is going to be there. We have also Kimeli. We have very young athletes that competed recently during the World Under 20. Most of them are ready to compete. You saw what happened during the national championship, during the KDF competitions, National Police Service, you name it. Kenya is well endowed with athletes. We have deep talent of our athletes, and anything can happen. So you cannot be sure that so-and-so is going to win. But we expect also the young ones who are hungry to win the game, especially having this event as an international category event. So we will expect the young athletes to do very well, especially those whom we train, whom we prepare during World Under 20, and we eventually won the World Under 20. And as we prepare now for to defend the third series of World Under 20 Championship in Cali, our athletes are ready to conquer the world and to fight for the slots during this cross-country event.
Now let's move on to something. There's a question that has come in here, and I think it would be good that it is answered. We've been asked, normally when we've got these events, there is the thought of hold them in the capital. Why the choice of Eldoret?
Yes, first of all, you realize that during the last 3 years, we have transformed athletics. The president has decided that we have to visit practically every region who has the potential to have an athlete. So we have gone to most of our regions in search of new talent. When it comes to competition, you can see also our weekend meetings, the program. It is diverse. We don't go to one particular area. We have in Kisumu on the 19th, and then from there maybe to Eldoret, Nakuru, and then maybe Embu, so that we give opportunity to the athletes from the local areas to compete. When it comes now to international events like cross-country, we have had national championship in Nairobi. We also have permit meetings when we used to compete here in Nairobi here. But then we realized that also the majority of spectators come from Eldoret area, Kapsabet, Iten, and the surrounding areas, Kericho. So when we had the trials for the Olympics in 2016, if you were in Eldoret, you could have seen the turnout was completely amazing. The stadium was completely full. There was a spillover of almost equally the same number of spectators outside. They were not able to go in. So we thought, the president of Athletics Kenya thought maybe the best way is to have this event in Eldoret, where majority of these athletes come from, and give them opportunity also. So next time it might not be in Eldoret, it's going to be a different place also, to encourage not only where majority of the athletes come, but we encourage also other regions to come up with the support, and their local governments also we are inquiring, we are insisting that they should come on board and support athletics. So this is very important, and we discussed the same thing with the World Athletics, our president, talked with the leadership of World Athletics, and when they talked about Eldoret, they were very excited also, because when it comes to any competition, it is the turnout, it is the spectators that counts most. We want more people. Like over the weekend, the majority of the stadium was filled by the athletes, but we didn't see spectators there. It was mainly the athletes, but huge number of athletes. But then we should also get equally huge numbers of spectators to encourage our athletes, because if we have the top athletes and we expect so much from them during the competitions, during the World Championship, during the Olympics, but then we don't even go and encourage them, it does not behove well for us. We need to be there to encourage them, to cheer them, so that they can feel that they are really appreciated in the country.
The other one that I would like to talk about is the management of the crowd, and what are the protocols for anyone who'd like to attend that event. Because nobody would like a repeat of what happened in 2019 at the Eldoret Sports Club.
What is happening is whatever we are going to do is because of COVID-19. We still have problems with COVID-19. We are going to stick to the measures that is given by the government. That's why we have COVID protocols that will be followed. The security, we have already informed the security from Wasingishu. They are also going to seek support from surrounding areas, and I'm sure also the national, because of the red alert that was given, the national security apparatus also will be informed of what is going to be, because it's going to be a big event. So I don't think there's going to be any issue. The security will be done, and the venue will be completely secured. But then we are urging the people also to make sure that they are free to come. We'll apply protocols, and we have every section where the athletes, where the VIP will be sitting, is going to be secured. So it should not be any worry, because the security apparatus has already been informed of the event, and they are going to be there in full swing.
At times there have been restrictions as to the number of people who can attend. What is the target number of spectators you're looking at?
What I'm saying is that we are going to expect the large numbers. We encourage them to come. There's no restrictions at all. We have not been given any restriction from the government. But since the COVID has gone down a little bit, we have to be sure that they follow still those regulations and put on the mask, and we'll guide them on what to do. But they should come in large numbers, but we'll guide them on what best to do.
Now let's come to this emotional part of this event, and we are talking about the name Agnes Tirop. And having this meeting, ideally it would have had another name, but what the activity that you're going to do in the memory of the late Agnes Jebet Tirop, 2015 World Cross Country Champion?
We were given this event before the tragic death of Agnes Tirop, and we had already assigned the name to the event before that. But then the leadership of Wasingishu and Nandi requested that in memory of Agnes Tirop, we should also see what we could do. Our president sat with the executive members and other leaders, and they discussed, and they came up and said, okay, because of what happened and the tragic way of her death, and the fact that the whole world was concerned about, they decided now to, in her memory, and other things that we are still going to do. Let us use her name so that we remember her for the work she has done for the work she has done for this country, the contribution she has made and supported, especially in athletics, being one of the youngest persons to win in China.
Actually, she was the second youngest after Zola Bad.
Yes, I forgot about Zola Bad. Zola Bad was controversial, you remember that?
I mean, the whole story of South Africa and all that.
So I think that was something that we had to think, and because of that, and in honor of our memory, that's what we decided, and it was being supported by the Minister of Sports too.
Now, there is something that we would like to. I would like to put out, in relation to this is Athletics Kenya, rather than hold an annual conference at one place, you went around the regions, speaking to athletes differently, and from the information that you collected, and you were able to, sift through and come up with how is it going to change the entire athletics ecosystem in Kenya.
It has to change. Immediately after she lost her life, we were all shocked. The whole world was shocked. And of course, General decided that instead of going to one place, Eldoret or Nairobi, bringing in athletes from different parts, it was a better idea to go to where they are, so that they are freely, they can converse, they can discuss, they can also tell us exactly what ails the industry. So they came up with that idea, and we went around, as you saw it. We collected all the information. There's some information that was very, very sensitive, and that report is still being worked on, and it is going to change how we see athletics and how we do. But first of all, because our CS had already appointed a committee to look into the same problems, not from athletics alone, but from other federations, and we had that seminar in Mombasa. So we are also going to share the same information on how to see how we can we implement it and disseminate it to the public.
All right. So you've had it from Barnaba Korir. Oh, just a quick one. How much? What's the entry fee?
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
It's free.
It's just free. Come in.
All right.
Come
now,
on.
I have a reason to go to Eldoret, not as a journalist, but as a fan. And so long as I don't get caught, running inside the track, so, trying, because it will be deemed that I am pacing an athlete at the cross-country event. Thank you very much for telling us about the Agnes Jebet Tirop Cross-Country Classic. It's in our memory, taking place at the Lobo Village. And this is this Saturday. It's a World Athletics Tour Gold event when it comes to cross-country. So there's lots of action that you can expect on Saturday. The best of the world in cross-country will be here as the cross-country season for World Athletics comes to a close. Thank you very much. Well, we shall be taking a short break now. And after this one, we shall be talking about another major event that's now going to be taking place right at Kilifi County. We're talking about the opening event of the Ladies European Tour Season 2022, the Magical Kenya Ladies Open. We shall be speaking with U.com event managing director, Doug Glattenberg, and the golf director of Vipingo. He goes by the name of Salim Haji. I'll just give you a hint. Salim Haji has also been involved in motorsport too. I'll tell you who he used to navigate before he decided to leave the tracks for the fairway. Join us in just a short while.
Wachache pekee wanafahamu uzito wa maamuzi kama yako.
Nyinyi, yani mimi nikiwaita nyinyi huwa ni viziwi, msikii au katika jeuri zenu.
Sasa huku umekuja kutafuta nini? Hatukuhitaji hapa.
Kijana, sikiliza, mimi sizungumzi na wewe.
Sasa utajitenga vipi na watu? Na hapa ndo nyumbani kwako hapa.
Ni heri nikae msituni.
you by Buchan Furnitures Limited. Local manufacturers of quality office furniture and dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. For orders, visit our showroom at Uni Africa House, Koinange Land off Koinange Street.
All right. And welcome back to Sports Check on this Monday morning. It's the 7th day of February 2022. We've had a conversation about athletics, but now we're going to be moving on to a conversation about a sport that was described as a sport for gentlemen, played by gentlemen, but now this one is a sport for ladies, played by gentle ladies. We're talking about the opening round of the Ladies European Tour season for the year 2022, the magical Kenya Ladies Open. That's going to be taking place at the Baobab Course at the Vipingo Ridge. And we are joined by two gentlemen who are behind this event. We've got the golf director at Vipingo, Salim Haji. Very good morning to you, Salim.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I am very well. Let me just introduce Salim Haji to you from a different perspective. Salim Haji has been known better as a rallying navigator. Used to rally with Ian Duncan. He used to read his notes. So now you can put a name to the face of that man. But right now, he's a golf director at Vipingo. Thank you very much, Salim, for joining us.
Thanks, Daniel. Nice to be on.
And also, we're going to be by Dark Glettenberg. He is the managing director of U.com event, the people who manage the Ladies European Tour. A very good morning to you, Dark.
Good morning, David. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. So Daniel's then ready to go. And let me just start with Salim having to host getting the opportunity to host this event for the second time since November 2019. What's the whole feeling for the Vipingo family as they bring in 96 of the best lady golfers on the LET?
Sorry, Daniel. Just say that again. I couldn't hear you, Grail.
All right. The feeling of having to host a second Magical Kenya Ladies Open event after the inaugural event in 2019.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's really nice to have everybody back. And yeah, I mean, I think things are ready to go. Play starts for them competitively on Wednesday in a Pro-Am, and then Thursday to Sunday.
For over the past 2 years, I know the COVID pandemic has not been, anybody's friend. But overall, you could tell us, first of all, about the Baobab Course, which is the only professional golf association accredited course on the continent of Africa. How was the process of getting this course ready and maintaining it at those standards?
Well, the PGA status really comes from just being able to abide by the standards and specifications that they set. So luckily, when we built the golf course, we built it to what's called the USGA specification. And so we met their requirements. And then the other reason is that I am a fully qualified British PGA professional. So we sort of tick both boxes for them, and I think it's been a fruitful partnership both ways. In terms of looking after the golf course and getting it ready, we've had some help from a couple of greenkeepers who fly in from the LET, and also a couple of them are friends of Dirk's. So, but the guys, the greenkeepers here, we've done this once before, so we kind of knew what we needed to do. And yeah, they've done a good job, I think.
Very well. Now, Doc, let me come over to you. And having the Ladies European Tour season start at Vipingo with the magical Kenya Ladies Open, you could give us, from the event promoter's perspective, how the LET calendar, was planned out for the year 2022.
Yeah, well, we're very, very fortunate that we are able to launch or to hold the launching event of the Ladies European Tour season in Kenya for the first time ever. The season has never started in Africa. It used to start in Australia, so we're very fortunate to host the kickoff of the season. Basically, you know, the players have been here. We have a lot of new players having come out here for the first time, and everybody is extremely delighted that, you know, they can start the season again. You know, COVID has destroyed a lot of our tournaments in the past, and now we're happy to be back, and we're happy to kick off.
So, Jack, now coming into this, for a country to have an event of this caliber, we've seen, for example, the magical Kenya Open grow from an invitational event to a challenge tour event to a now DP World Tour event. What are the requirements from your side, such for a country to host an event of this caliber?
Well, you know, when I came to this goal, Salim and I have known each other for many, many years. And you know, when I saw the vision of Vipingo Ridge, first of all, for us, it's very important to you know, get a venue that is behind it, get a country that is behind it, to put the support behind it. And secondly, you know, it has to be an environment where the players can travel to and where they feel safe and where they have perfect conditions to participate. So we know this was not only the first time when we talked about it in 2019, we've talked about it in 2013, and then we kept going. And most importantly, the golf course has to be a good golf course. And secondly, the venue where we play, because we are setting up a lot of facilities, we need all sorts of offices. We need to have space. We have a big TV production with 52 people crew, so it's a very big venture.
Come back to you, Salim, and I want you to describe to us the golf course. I was looking back at, you know, some of the videos that you've done previously, and just give us, you know, some of the picturesque things about Vipingo and the fact that you can view the ocean from practically 3/4 of the holes in the course.
Daniel, sorry, I'm really struggling to hear you properly. I think you were asking. Can you just ask me that again?
All right, let me ask it again. The Vipingo course, and I saw this from some video, is that there is a view of the ocean from 14, I think, of the 18 holes. You could describe the Vipingo course for us.
Okay, there used to be a view of the ocean from 14 holes when we first built it. We planted thousands and thousands and thousands of trees. So you don't see the ocean anymore from 14 holes, but you see it from number one, you can see it a little bit. Number two, reasonable. Three, you have a really nice view, and four. And then you kind of lose it because you go in to an area that's got way more trees than it used to. But I mean, I don't know how the golf course is tough. It's windy at the moment. It's also pretty dry and running, so that makes conditions tricky for the players.
All right, coming to you, Dak. Looking at some of the names who have been put forward when it comes to this event, Esther Henselet, who won it in 2019, coming back. Let's think of Lee Ann Pace from South Africa, Julia Engström from Sweden, who came close to winning the event in 2019, Sanna Notinen from Finland, Olivia Cohen from Germany. Just give us a description of the field of 96, especially from those who are going to be on the tour permanently, and the kind of competition would expect for these opening events.
You know, it's a very nice thing to have such a strong player field. All those names that you mentioned, they could win any major and top tournament in the world. So we're very, very happy that all these players are traveling to Kenya. Esther is just landing while we speak because she was playing on the LPGA tour until Sunday. So she's flying in today. So, you know, I mean, Esther is a very, very strong player. Oliver Cowan, as you said, Sarah, Julia Engström, who is now coming back from an injury. So, but I mean, there's other players that you have to look out for, names that you might not have heard, who are coming has extremely talented young players. There's an amazing amount of talent coming out of different countries like, Spain and Germany, especially France, South Africa, Lee and Pace, obviously. To have 2 order of merit champions here makes us very, very proud. So you will see that it's going to be an interesting competition. Obviously, experience plays a big part, but some of the players have been here now for a couple of days, and it is a big advantage to play this golf course. If you don't know it, like Salim said, it's tricky. So it's very hard to predict. But when it comes down to Sunday afternoon, I think you have to be very, very cool to play up those holes because you're playing into the wind, and it's going to be decided. I don't think it's going to be decided early.
Well, now that you mentioned about the field that's going to come, it's a field of 96. You could tell us the criteria that is used to allocate the slots for the players who are on the LET, and also you could also tell us about how you allocate the slots for the Kenyan golfers who will be participating. Bavisha is the only pro, and I think we've got 3 amateurs.
Yeah, so obviously the had 5 of our invited Kenyan players, hoping that will emerge. It's our mission to promote Kenyan golf and Kenyan golfers for the future. We want to have Kenyan ladies golfers on the Ladies European Tour. That is our goal, together with the Kenya Ladies Golf Union, with the Ministry of Sport, with the Sports Fund. So we're very committed to supporting those players. And the other qualification criteria, it's pretty much the order of merit of the Ladies European Tour. So many more players would have liked to come to Kenya, but we have a limited field of 96. And we had a total of 150 players wanting to play the tournament, but obviously you have to be in the top 100 to qualify. So it's a very simple ranking system where you have different qualification categories, and that's it. It's pretty much the order of merit and who has signed in. And there are different eligible categories for like Sohan Cup players, the order of merit, the money ranking list, and then there is also rookies of the year and upcoming players who have a qualification category. So it goes by category. You know, if whoever is interested can go to the Ladies European Tour page and they find exactly the qualification criteria. If you go to the Ladies European Tour page and then you see the different categories that those players are in who are luckily and fortunately enough to play the match at Kenya Ladies Open.
Now let's come to the tournament proper. I know you're going to have the Pro-Am on Wednesday, and after you have the Pro-Am, which is basically a one-tee start, and then you're going to have tournament day 1, day 2. Then tell us how you get into day 3 and day 4 in terms of the numbers, how you reduce them, what is known as making cuts.
So we are playing obviously the first 2 days. The Pro-Am also caters as a practice round for the players, and you see here how can the players are teeing off behind me while we speak. So you see this is practice day number 1 today, practice day number 2. When Wednesday is the Pro-Am, which also caters as practice day, and then we have the competition starting on Thursday very early in the morning. So it's very hard to predict where the cut will be and what the performance will be, because the course will play completely different. Last time when we played the tournament, it was early December, so we still had the wind from the south. Now we have the wind from the north, and it's blowing quite fast, as Salim said. So it's going to be tricky to say where we end up. But obviously, 60 players plus or minus will make the cut on Friday, and go into the weekend.
Come to Salim, and there is something that Vipingo's doing when it comes to helping the amateurs who are going to be playing. And let me just, Bavisha is a professional. She's based at the Nyali Golf and Country Club. So she plays as a local pro. Then we've got Naomi Wafula, Masi Nyanchama, Chanel Wangare, and Faith Chemutai. Chanel is still at 15 years old. But let's talk about the work that Vipingo is doing to help these elite amateur lady golfers?
Daniel, I think it's not, we need to be clear here. It's not just Vipingo. It's Vipingo, it's UCOM, it's M-Pesa. It's whoever is participating in this event is contributing to what we're doing. But what we are doing is, I did travel up to Nairobi. I spent 3 days there, fitting them with equipment, or finding out what equipment they had and whether we had something that would suit them better from our extensive array of shafts and heads. So that we also did a bit of training with strategy, and we played a few holes at Mafega just so that I could see them play. And then they came down here about 2 weeks ago for 3 or 4 days. So we did a bit of refining on equipment. I built them some clubs, so they have new clubs to go and play with, which they've been here for the last 10 days getting used to, and getting used to conditions at the coast. And our plan is really to keep this going. And so hopefully by next year, if possible, we can get them to all make the cut. It would be a wonderful thing. But yeah, this is not going to stop at the end of this event. And everyone is contributing. It's a team effort for sure.
And as a person who's in Kilifi County, you are based at Vipingo. And you've allowed spectators. What are some of the things that golf enthusiasts should expect from the magical Kenya Ladies Open?
Sorry, Daniel, you're talking about, yes, spectators are welcome. There is a site where they can go to and register, so they can come and watch. I think there is a lot more interest this time than last time. I think everyone realized it was a good event, successful event. And these girls are really good players. And, I think it's worthwhile for anybody to come and watch them play, because they are really, really good players.
All right. One rule that you've put, and I looked at it, is that spectators must be fully vaccinated. You could tell us about that. And also the entry charges and the ticketing criteria, the ticketing process for this event.
Daniel, again, I didn't hear your question very well, but yes, everyone who enters has to have a vaccination certificate. Otherwise, they don't get entry. And then there is a players' bubble, and those who interact with the players have to be PCR tested daily. But yeah, we welcome anyone to come and watch. Absolutely, there is a public village. There is things for them to do other than golf. So yeah, I think it'll be a nice day out for a family.
So let me come over to Dak, and I want you to explain to us about the prize money structure. The prize money for the magical Kenya Ladies Open is 300,000 euros. We are talking about the equivalent of 39 million shillings. And there is also the point system. You could explain how this work and how they correlate.
So it's pretty much, we have a saying in the golf industry or in the professional golf that are you in the money or not in the money? So only the players who will make the cut on Friday, they will be able to earn money in this tournament. And so then it's broken down between the 60 players that are pretty much in the cut. So the first player gets obviously the highest prize money. It depends, how many other players play the same score, and then it will be divided by those guys. So, and obviously 60 players will divide the prize money between themselves, and there's a clear prize money breakdown.
And then there's something that I noticed with the European Tour last year, is that for that was with the Kenya Open and the Kenya Savannah Classic, is that any